Hey, between you and me, this is a bonus episode.
There used to be a way to stick it to the man. It was called rock and roll. But guess what? Oh no. The man ruined that too with a little thing called MTV.
Don't talk to me about rock and roll. I'm not there in the clubs and on the streets and I'm living it. I am rock and roll.
Did I listen to pop music because I was miserable? Or was I miserable because I listened to pop music?
So Between You and Me are a pop-punk band from Australia. They made their full-length debut back on July 13th with their record Everything Is Temporary, released on Hopeless Records. I should say July 13th, 2018, depending on when you're listening to this. But they released a banger of a record, and over the way social networking works, I kind of connected with the band, and they agreed to do an interview from the back of a van while on tour in the United States. This is what we got.
Can you hear us clear enough?
I got you clear, and then when I don't know who I'm talking to, so.
So this is James.
Okay.
And it's Jake as well.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, Jake, when you talk, I don't know if you're further away from the phone, but
I'll get a bit closer. We're nearly over each other's faces, but we'll get to it.
Just nice and close.
If you want to FaceTime and see how close we are, it'll be awesome.
That could make for an entirely different interview. So where are you guys right now, actually?
We are driving into Washington, D.C. We're going to go see the big White House.
Nice.
We're trying to be as touristy as possible.
There you go. That's fair.
And we're sitting in the back bunk of our RV, and we're like getting thrown everywhere.
It's almost like a waterbed.
That's good. So I'm glad you're not actually driving in this instance. That could also make for an interesting interview. So who are you guys on tour with right now?
So we're with Rome, Like Pacific, Bearings, and Story Untold.
Nice. That'd be a nice show, but you're not coming out this way, so that's too bad. So anyways, you guys, your new album's been out for a couple of months now, and I just wanted to ask how it feels to, potentially have the song of the summer of 2018 with Dakota.
Oh, we're losing you a lot. We heard something about the new album and how it feels playing the song. Is that right?
No, well, I mean, we can go with that first. How does it feel to be touring and playing those songs?
It's sick, dude. We play 3 songs off the new album. Four songs off the. It's super fun because we played the EP for a couple years, and to finally have new stuff out that we're all super hyped about.
Yeah.
Just brings out the best in all of us because we just love the new songs.
Yeah.
We'd want to play more, but we have a 25-minute set, so
sure,
we want to play a variety.
So now,
because we've never been here before, which is awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so this is your first time coming over this way?
Leisurely and professionally, yes.
There you go. But so my original question was about actually the song Dakota and how it feels to potentially have, in my mind, the song of the summer with Dakota.
Hey.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yes. It's...
Well, you have been the only one that has told me that, so that I'm not familiar with the feeling of having the song of the summer.
Well, now you do, officially.
Maybe give it a month and I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Let it sink in.
But thank you for liking the song, dude. It seems to be a lot of people's favourite song just because it's so just boppy and bouncy and energetic. But
yeah, well, I mean,
it means a lot that you like the song, dude.
Yeah, it's so catchy, and then there are a couple of really unique things that kind of stood out about it for me. One being just kind of how you break the words up in the chorus, specifically like the word remove. It's just it was when it was initially pointed, I didn't notice it at first. Then when it was pointed out to me, I'm like, now I can't help but notice it every time, and I think it's great. But also,
what? Now to cut you off again, I didn't actually realize that either until you just mentioned it. Then.
That's funny. But then also on top of that,
I'm learning more and more every day.
The way that you kind of change perspective within the song, because I'm assuming it sounds like you're writing, to the girl, and then the chorus in the song you've it's almost like Dakota is standing there, and you turn to Dakota, and you're like, hey, you can just piss off.
Yeah.
Which I think is it's kind of unique in the sense that, generally a song written, a love song or whatever, is directed specifically at one person, but I like how in the chorus you kind of change direction.
Yeah, once again, that was like an unintentional thing, and I guess it just that's just how I told the story.
Yeah. And it really stands out, and there's a couple of times on the record where you seem to change perspective. Whether you're directing a song at one person and then changing to another, or whatever the case. Do you find when writing lyrics that kind of removing yourself from the story a little bit helps you to be a little more creative, or is it just kind of unintentionally happen?
To be honest, I won't try and sound like a poet, but I'm pretty sure it's completely unintentional.
Yeah.
But you know what? Next record, I'm going to just keep that in mind and have every perspective change, every verse, every chorus.
Just writing from either directing it from one person to the next, or writing from one point of view to another. I like it.
Yeah.
People are going to be even more confused.
Yeah, I'll say keep the listeners on their toes. Figure out what this is about.
On this tour, I've had at least 4 people go, so Dakota's the girl, right?
You're like, no.
I'm like, fuck.
Because initially when we reviewed it, I kind of, so I normally have, like a co-host on the show, Jordan, and I said that to him. I said, the song, like the chorus, Dakota's the guy, and he's like, what?
Yeah.
And I was like, wouldn't it be super confusing if you're writing this song and, the verses are all, like nice and, into the girl, and then all of a sudden on the chorus, you're like, piss off. Like that would be so confusing.
That's what people were saying, like, wait, he likes her, but he is telling her to piss off? Like, how disrespectful.
You're never going to get the girl that way.
Yeah, right?
So is that song about, like, is Dakota a real guy, or is it just a completely made-up song?
Dakota, it's a funny story because Dakota's the actual guy's name.
Oh,
it's like a direct diss.
That's so funny.
So, my friend, who, will remain nameless,
right,
was dating this guy. I never liked her, but she was always a good friend, but I really disliked the boyfriend because he was a cheating asshole.
Yeah.
And so the song is directed at her, but then in the chorus, is a diss to him.
And so
and he knows it. He's heard the song.
Okay.
He's not happy about it.
Yeah.
I received probably 4 death threats from him and his buddies.
Oh man. So sorry, did you say Dakota is his name or isn't his name?
Is
his name. Okay, so you're very on the nose and direct. That's
we just wanted to make sure that he wasn't confused.
Yeah. Is he the type of guy who would be easily confused?
He's a bit of a, in movies, there's always the smart short guy and there's the big buff dumb.
Yeah.
Jock.
He would be that dude.
He would be the big dumb jock. I like it.
The big dumb.
So another song on the record, Friends from '96.
Get pummeled one day, but
I'm actually a little bit worried.
Yeah. You're just not gonna. I'm assuming he lives in Australia.
Yeah.
Still, so you're like not gonna play that song at hometown shows. Yeah. Okay, but so another song on the record being Friends from '96. I have a question. How?
Question is
this is a great one.
Wow.
Okay, I guess first and foremost, how old would you have been in '96?
I would have been 0.
Yeah, okay. So is 96, are you referencing the year 1996? Or is it something else?
This is when I try and be poetic, and I'm like, I miss my friends who grew up with me, who were in the same year as me in high school. Yeah. AKA the ones that were born in '96.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes a little sense.
I'm not actually 40,
Yeah, well.
Long lost friends.
Well, because when I was listening to the song, I'm like, I'm going to assume I don't know your guys' ages. I mean, obviously I could do the math now, but I was like, how old would they have been in '96? As a band that's kind of, because if I'm correct, this is a debut full length for you guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, you're fairly fresh in your career. I'm like, how old could they have been in '96? Now it makes sense. The year that you're born, and that never even crossed my mind. Like going, oh well, maybe it's those born in 1996. I get it. Makes a little more sense now. I will say that.
See, with some songs we want to be direct like Dakota. This one we want it to be as confusing as possible.
How old are they really?
How old am I?
Well, I could do the math now.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was
21.
posing the question about being confused.
21, but in Friends of 96, I could potentially be 47.
Yeah, depends how old you were in 96. I like it.
I thought it was funny when we first heard the demo. I'm like, it's like, this sounds really cool, but you're not 30 years old.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I can look back on 96 and go, okay, I know who my friends were in 96. I'm like, yeah. So for me, when I hear the song, I'm like, it immediately hits home. I'm like, yeah, I would have been, 11 years, 12 years old, which now dating myself compared to you guys.
How old are you? You sound so young.
I will be 34 in a couple weeks.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. So I can look back and go, I was in grade 6 or early grade 7 in 96.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's perfect.
I can look back too.
Yeah.
I was just starting primary school.
Okay. Yeah. So you're a little older than.
Yeah, I'm the oldest in the
You're
band,
like
so.
you're like, those are my friends. My friends in 96. Like, that's what my childhood memories were made of. Not an infant.
I was like, your friends weren't even human. Yeah. In 96, Jake.
There were glimmers in their parents' eyes on a night after several glasses of wine. I like it. So speaking of growing up then, first off, how did you guys meet? How did you guys get together as a band?
So it was just Chris and Jamie in the band at the time when they messaged me. Like, they found me on like YouTube doing covers, and then we like did some covers online, like us three, and we had another member, Jess, who has since departed the band. But then after we did covers for a bit, we kind of gained a bit of traction on it, and then we got messaged by Jai. I was like, yo, I'm really like interested to join your band. Like, you guys are doing some sick stuff. Right. And then he tried out, and then he also introduced us to James at the same time. So that's just how we formed.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. The fact that
not out of high school.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say, and the fact that something like YouTube played a part in that. Like, that's pretty awesome that you guys kind of found each other.
Yeah, I feel like that's what a lot of the stuff is heading to these days.
Well, I mean, it is a great way to connect. YouTube, social networking, whatever. In fact, that's how this interview kind of came about. Just chatting over Facebook, being like, "Oh, you're in a band that I reviewed. That's very weird." And I always get a little bit nervous when because it's happened a few times, and I'm always like, crap, what did I say in the, when we reviewed the record?
Rewatch the interview.
Yeah.
It's like, this guy's I'm gonna grill him. Everything he said, I remember every word. No.
Well, are you guys, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the band Junior at all? Like, they're from Wales.
No.
Okay, so this is,
sorry.
It's okay. It's just kind of funny because like I reviewed their record, and then the day I released the episode, I had a message from them on my Instagram, and I'm like, immediately my thought was, crap, what did I say? And then, I mean, it turned out being all good. They were just like, oh, thanks for reviewing this. And so anyway, that happens every now and then. I'm like, oh yeah, like people can actually hear this. And then, with social networking, you can actually get in touch, and it's a little weird at times.
Yeah.
It is.
I remember when I found the interview, I was just like, boys, someone reviewed our album and it's not a bad review.
Yeah, and well, and we actually, I don't know if you remember it all, because we like to review albums against other albums, and so specifically with your guys' record, it came out the same day as Real Friends Composure, and so we reviewed it against that, and we actually both, Jordan and myself, agreed and picked your guys' record over Composure at the time. We're like, we liked it more. It was a refreshing listen. So that's pretty awesome. And it's always fun, to kind of discover new music. And that one, you guys are kind of an interesting little story for me, because you guys were on Dreambound, were you not? Am I right with that?
Yeah, we put out our single from the EP on Dreambound, I think, and we put out another single on there before that as well.
Yeah.
Did we? I think it was just Trees.
It was Cavalier.
Cavalier and Trees, the first single and the first one from the EP.
And so the thing is I like to, Dreambound is pretty great, and I don't know how I came across them on YouTube, but I subscribed to their YouTube channel, and that's how I initially heard about you guys, was from one of the singles. And I was like, oh, this is great stuff. And then, I was familiar with the name when I see the records coming out, and obviously you guys have since moved to, it's safe to say, a bigger label in regards to comparing it to Dreambound. But I did want to say, there's been so many, speaking of Dreambound, there's been a number of Australian bands, not necessarily signed to Dreambound, but that have released records this summer. What's the deal with it being like the summer of Australia as far as like the pop punk umbrella is concerned? Because there's been a number of them. Do you like what's the scene like in Australia that's kind of leading to that bit of a boom?
James, you got
I feel like it started growing a lot when Trophy Eyes first got signed.
Yeah.
And then I think people just like saw that there was an opportunity, like it actually could happen. Like it wasn't just like, because every time before that it was only like US bands or UK bands getting signed. Like no one was really coming out of Australia. So then I think people just like ran with that. Like all those bands were still around, like Stan Atlantic and Yours Truly were around back then, but it wasn't until like the labels and everyone else in the world started looking into Australia and like actually realized that the talent was there. Yeah, which is pretty amazing. Like it's pretty cool that people were like looking at Australia now for like new bands.
I mean, like on Hopeless, there's probably like 5 bands from Australia right
That's
now.
crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so, and I mean, you mentioned Stand Atlantic. They, of course, just released a record the other day.
Banger record.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And that's the thing, is like these Australian bands, especially, I mean, counting you guys in there, Stand Atlantic, a couple of these bands that are kind of releasing, you know, that are just sort of getting started. Like Trophy Eyes has been around for a couple of records now, and you know, like the American Dream was, you know, a pretty highly anticipated album. But some of these other bands that are kind of bursting onto the scene, just being like, guys, check this out, and being, you know, like making themselves legit names within the scene, you know, over on this side of the ocean.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's been pretty amazing to watch like Stan Atlantic grow from where they came from. Is like pretty surreal. Like I've known Bonnie, like my first ever show that I played interstate in Australia was with Bonnie as like one of their first ever shows, right, as Stan Atlantic, and now we're both signed to the same label, which is pretty freaking surreal. Like to think about that, like the time that took to get there. So and we're just pretty lucky.
So
just don't compare our album to theirs because we'll lose. Yeah.
I don't know. We're actually, I don't know if by the time this comes out, we're reviewing that record this week. We sort of changed how we do it. We still kind of like review albums against each other, but we like to kind of take it. Do you guys ever play like King's Court when you were kids? Like whether it's on the basketball court or whatever, you win and you stay on. Is that
okay?
Right? Yeah.
So you compare that album, if it wins 3 weeks in a row, it just like keeps getting compared to other albums.
Yeah, it keeps going. So right now, at the time of this interview, Bearings, Blue in the Dark.
We'd still be on top, right?
Yes, yeah. I'm curious because that was beginning of the summer-ish or whatever. We didn't do things that way. We just picked a favorite between 2 albums and moved on. But Bearings, Blue in the Dark is the current, at the time,
also a great
champions.
Record.
Yeah, so they're going to go against Stand Atlantic. So I'm interested to see where that one goes, because both of those records were very pleasant surprises for me. But I was going to ask if you were to do, like back in like the 60s or whatever, there was the whole British invasion type thing with music going on. If you were to do the Australian invasion pop punk tour, who would the bands be that you would put on that tour? Let's make it a 4 or 5 band if you can't decide.
All Australian?
Yeah, they have to be. They got to be all Australian.
Well, Stan Atlantic's definitely on there.
Yeah.
Stat.
We're on there.
We're putting ourselves at the top.
Yeah. Between you and me, we'll headline. Okay, I get that.
Trophy Eyes, so they can blow people's socks off.
Sure.
Yeah.
With their anthemic cannons of weaponry back in the 60s.
Yeah.
Who could be 4th?
And
who's like a really gnarly, like hardcore local band?
Hardcore band.
I like that I put you on the spot.
I'm gonna go. Oh, what's that band called?
This is fine though. You can just.
They toured with Rise Against. Who was it? Outright.
Okay.
They're like a screaming front lady, and it is like the most insane thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
They're a really good band.
There we go. We've got a band that I've nenever heard of now that I can go check out. You said Outright?
Outright, yeah.
And they're from Australia. Obviously, they meet the criteria. I'll have to take your word for it. Because I really don't know otherwise. But and so continuing with Australia, not necessarily music now, but there's been number of bands, actors, whatever, that have been products of Australia. What would you say is your kind of favorite Australian export? Whether it's a person, whether it's a band, whether it's food, whatever, that you're like, this makes me proud to be Australian.
I'm going to say Steve Irwin for me.
Okay, yeah. Crocodile
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Dude, this is a hard question here because all my favorite actors, it's pretty much just Jim Carrey and Paul Rudd. Best thing out of Australia, man. I can't even say Vegemite because I fucking hate Vegemite.
I was going to say don't. Please don't say Vegemite.
Dude,
Favorite export? Let me think of another one.
I'll just say the only Australian person I know who's like famous or as a sportsman is Matthew Dellavedova.
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
true.
Okay. Yeah.
He's done pretty well for
What
us.
about
Yeah.
the other guy? What's his name? Plays for the Spurs.
Oh, Paddy Mills.
Paddy Mills.
There you go.
He's good.
So a couple basketball players. That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
that's all I can think of.
I don't.
Maybe if I can get the creator of Vegemite, I'll get back to you.
That person. that whoever created Vegemite. That makes me proud to be Australian. That's funny. And you mentioned Jim Carrey. So this is going to be a bit of a swap, seeing as I'm from Canada.
Okay.
If you could make a trade of one Australian for one Canadian, it doesn't have to be Jim Carrey. No.
Hugh Jackman for Jim Carrey.
Okay, no thought. Didn't need to think about it at all. That's
No
great.
thought. Just bring us Jim. And
Well, you can have Wolverine and we'll laugh forever.
Okay, so you want to know something funny? Speaking of Wolverine, his I don't know how much you're into comic books or whatever, but his origin story, he's actually technically from not far from where I am right now, which is pretty crazy. Yeah, so you guys can have
get Australian to play him.
I know, right? Like, why not get a Canadian? We actually there's legitimately a Wolverine statue in the city of Edmonton where I live.
Is it like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine?
No. I don't think so. I mean, maybe it
The
is.
comic book base.
That
Yeah,
would be controversial.
it would be funny if it was, Wolverine out of superhero suit, and he's just like, what? Just some random guy with a
Just Hugh
giant.
Jackman with a jar of Vegemite.
Yeah,
That's it.
jar of
And a
Vegemite
Tim Tam.
and giant.
Oh, Tim
sideburns.
Tam. That's a great export. Do we export Tim Tams?
I don't know.
I've heard.
Have you
of-
ever had a Tim Tam?
I've never had one. Are they like? I could be very wrong. Are they kind of like a chocolate covered cookie stick
It's
sort of thing?
chocolate covered in chocolate and covered in chocolate some more.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
like
okay.
texture.
It's like a two chocolate
Wafers?
cookie, wafer things with like soft chocolate in the middle, then coated in hard chocolate.
Okay, yeah. Sounds delicious. Sounds like a lot of chocolate.
It is. And then when you eat it, you like bite both ends off. You have
Right.
it with like a hot drink, like a cocoa or like
Yeah,
a
okay.
coffee or whatever.
And then you-
and
it's
you
like a
suck it
straw.
through use it as a straw and it melts, and
Yeah.
then you put it all in your mouth, and it's.
I've done that once and I hated it.
But it's because you're vegan now, so you regret not being able to eat it anymore.
Yeah, that's it.
That's fair. So, any favorite Jim Carrey movies? I don't know why we're going to get on to Jim Carrey, but
Oh my god, Liar, Liar,
My
Bruce Almighty.
classic.
Favorite of all time is Dumb and Dumber.
my
My favorite movie of all time.
Truman
Yeah, that's your
Show.
favorite movie of all time, or your favorite Jim Carrey
It
movie?
is.
Oh wow,
My
okay.
favorite movie of all time. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Just because I base all my actions of life off that movie, and somehow I got here.
it's led to this right now in a van in the middle of on the eastern seaboard of the United States. Thank you, Dumb and Dumber. That's classic. That's probably my favorite Jim Carrey movie, though. I don't know about my favorite movie of all time, but I would have to agree with the Dumb and Dumber being fantastic. But yeah, so
If you see our live show, you will see all the Dumb and Dumber stuff that we do.
you got the big like shaggy dog van as part of your stage set.
Yeah, we jump it right off the road onto the stage.
Yeah.
And I hope you start your set with the most annoying noise in the world or whatever that he does.
Yeah, exactly. We should do that. We should also make a video clip where we're all the dogs in the back of the car and getting covered in tomato sauce and mustard.
For those of you who don't know, that's actually what's in every single green room. All those dogs.
Yeah.
Just all the dogs.
That's our number one thing on our rider.
I like it. And you guys still think that Aspen is in California when you're touring the States? It's not.
Exactly, yeah.
It's not. Don't get confused if you hit the West Coast. You're like, where's Aspen? It's not in
Yeah.
California. Oh, that's good. Anyways, guys, I'm going to let you get back to driving or sleeping or whatever you're trying to do.
We're nearly at the White House now, so I think
Oh, there you go.
it's probably perfect timing.
Yeah, there you go. Say
So
hi
watch the
for
news
me.
and watch me do a massive grind on the White House and get arrested.
Good luck with that. This is the end of Between You and Me, as members are currently in United States prisons for skateboarding at the White House, maybe? I don't know.
Record sales might boost, though.
They might. You'd have a story. No publicity is bad publicity, right? We just can't tour anymore. But guys, stream the album, buy the album, because...
That's my bail money.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to get out of jail.